He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
This one's wife. Beau is back. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife is a narcissist. I was the first person to explain that she is, and I did so with a balanced and objective appraisal of her behaviours to demonstrate that that is what she is. And ever since then, we've been able to examine her behaviours through the prism of her narcissism, and she is the grift that keeps on giving. Example after example of her narcissism in action. And there is one particular facet of her narcissism which I'm going to highlight now, which is quite useful for you to gauge whether you might be dealing with a narcissist. It's not determinative of itself, but it is a pretty strong indicator. And that relates to the need to tell you things. You will be familiar with the phrase, actions speak louder than words, and that is particularly important when it comes to the world of the narcissist, because words are the preferred weapon of the narcissist, because they are easy to come by. Words appear. It doesn't take much effort to use them, whether spoken or written. They can be utilised to praise, to flatter, to compliment, to demean, to insult, to devalue. Whether saying I love you or I hate you, the narcissist is able to utilise words in the pursuit of the prime aims, to use words to control, to draw fuel, to utilise to access residual benefits. And a common feature that you will find with narcissists, particularly those of a mid-range persuasion, which this one's wife fits within, is the repeated necessity to tell you about themselves and their lives, rather than allow you to make your own mind up from what you see. I've explained before how Margaret Thatcher once stated that power is a little bit like being a lady. If you have to tell people you're that, you're not. And it's applicable to many narcissists, particularly those of the mid-range variety, that they rely upon telling you that they're something because they're actually not it. How many times have you heard this one's wife explain to us that she is authentic, that she's her authentic self? Yet we know that there isn't an iota of authenticity in relation to this fraudster, because everything that she does in relation to another person is for the purposes of her own needs, and she actually lacks any ability, talent, charisma, or humour. Some narcissists have those things and therefore utilise substance for the purposes of getting to the prime aims, but she hasn't. She believes she's authentic because her narcissism tells her that she's authentic, and that means she has to tell you that she's authentic because you must believe that she's authentic. Accept that she's authentic, because in so doing, you demonstrate that you're under control and you're providing her with fuel, and it links to the residual benefit of her facade. She has to tell you that she's kind, that she turns up and does good. But how often have we actually seen that she doesn't turn up and do good because she's absent or she's unpleasant? And the few instances where she does turn up and do something which might be labelled as good, we all know that it's self-serving. But she has to keep telling you that she does good because the narcissism tells her that's what she is, and she needs to convince you that she's good. Because if you are convinced of that, you are under control, you will provide her with fuel. She has to keep telling you about what she's like as a mum and how her children love her, because she wants you to accept that she is the world's best mother. Because if you do so, you are under control. You will provide her with fuel. You will cater to that facade. And she has to tell you about the idyllic marriage that she has, that Harry's a fox, that he completely loves her, that he told her that he loved her before she said it, that he said it after just 3 dates. And she's at it again as a consequence of a reel that has appeared not on her personal Instagram, but upon As Ever. Have a little look at this. The strategy, and I use that word in its most elastic sense, of continuing to post on a daily basis on As Ever about all of the micro-influencers purchasing flower sprinkles and other associated crap, this one's wife has utilised As Ever to publicise her own wine with a picture of presumably her leg, her hand, holding a bottle of As Ever and 2 glasses. What's rather odd is that, first of all, the bottle looks like it's been superimposed on a background. It doesn't really look like it's there, does it? And ditto the glasses. Looks like it's been taken in a studio and then the picture of the plant behind and the grass has been added afterwards. But leaving that potential chicanery to one side, it's not particularly interesting. She puts this post up when your Beau is back in town, because Harry, as we all know, had been running around in the United Kingdom as part of an attempt to rehabilitate his image and meet par as an attempt to try and allow the Sussexes to inveigle their way back into the royal family. And rather than be the case that he returns and they get together privately, if that indeed is what has happened, this one's wife, narcissist that she is, has to plug her shitty wine by reference to saying that her Beau is back in town. Not her husband, my husband, not Harry, but your Beau. Continuing to behave like she's a lovesick teenager because in her mind, her narcissism believes that's the appropriate way of exhibiting love, we get treated to this sickening display of nonsense whereby she shows off the wine, celebrating the fact that he has returned. It's questionable whether he has. Many people still maintain that they've separated. And if they have done so, it's hardly likely that she would have celebrated with wine. She was probably already on it as a consequence of her day drinking when he wandered in. And he probably, dependent upon whether he's painted black or white, would have been subjected to a cold shoulder and a present silent treatment because he has been away doing his own thing and she won't like that. Remember, she's a narcissist, and therefore if he's painted black as a consequence of that threat to control, it means that he'll be met with short shrift. Alternatively, if he finds himself painted white, then it might be the case that he was met with a glass of wine and a hug and a hello and how has your trip been? But notice that a personal interaction, assuming that Harry was there, is commandeered by the narcissist and turned into an advertisement for her wine. I very much doubt she drinks her own wine. She probably doesn't bother with it. She probably doesn't regard it as good enough for her. And yet, rather than just get on with the business of being with her husband, she has to turn it into an advertisement, and a sickly one as well, because she needs to grift the wine, but also she needs to keep telling us all that they have this wonderful idyllic relationship. Whereas you all know, as a consequence of your glorious narrator's work, that this is a narcissistic ensnarement, and it is anything but an idyllic relationship because they never are. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.